Hello. A buddy of mine is super happy. He bought just under 40 acres in Metcalfe County, Kentucky. He subdivided the land. He's keeping 13 acres for himself, and his 13-acre plot is completely 100% free. F-R-E-E. Metcalfe County is southwest of here. I have some actually land near there. My land is near Glasgow, Kentucky. I don't want to say where, but he got the land completely for free. He said, I've seen your 2 or 3 videos that I posted, and I have a link in the description. It's a 2-page list on how to find the things, the checklist to go down on buying raw land. And I've been buying raw land since I was I think the first time I did it, I was 19 years old. I also, too, got some free land that's just under 4 acres, just outside of Fayette County. There's a long story behind that one. It was a neat little trick, totally legal trick I was able to do, and I got the land for free. My father actually owns that land now. And he told me, I said, I've seen your videos on the checklist, and that, by the way, is in the description of this video and every video, on buying land, but he said, you've not made any tips or tricks on flipping land. And he flipped the land. Like I said, he's keeping 13 acres of the just under 40 that he bought, and it's completely free. Well, how did he do it? There's no, super secret. It's really kind of simple, but it has to be of a certain nature or a certain quality, and that's, of course, one of the things you need to look at in buying land. So I've not made a video on flipping raw land. I don't know or pretend to know about commercial or residential real estate because there's a million variables and a million factors which change basically every day. When it comes to raw land, it does fluctuate, but it doesn't fluctuate at all anything like commercial real estate or regular real estate, residential real estate does. A lot of people keep forgetting, they really don't. They think, well, I got to take care of it. I live in another state. Like my buddy up in Chicago, he's bought 2 big pieces of land here in Kentucky. And he was saying that to start. I was like, raw land, by definition, follows natural order. It takes care of itself. So I wanted to tell you some things about flipping land, how you can either make a bunch of money from it or, and I have done this. How many times in the past have I done this? And I've always been 100% successful on raw land. I don't pretend to know the stock market or any of that other stuff, but I actually know what I'm talking about on raw land. 7 times total. One of the ways in which I have actually failed is that at an early age, when I was really good at this, and I basically made more than I make in a year when I was really young, in a matter of like 2 or 3 weeks, let's just say a month, I should have told myself, like, you should stick to this because it's not only lucrative, but you're really good at it. So on that front, due to many variables, just life comes at you. I failed at that. I should have stuck with that. So anyway, here's some really simple stuff. Most of this stuff is actually free on flipping land. Let's say you want to buy it and you're not particularly super interested in either moving there or holding on to it, but you want to flip it for some money and actually reinvest that. And of course, you could talk to your tax guy how you can get out of capital gains on that. I don't pretend to know about taxes. My tax guy actually worked for the IRS for 40 years. Here's one thing. And you go on LandWatch or Zillow or Listserv, all these places where I look every day for land, and I don't have any money to buy land right now because the IRS wiped me out, but I could actually generate some capital by getting rid of a piece of land that I particularly don't like. It's kind of far from me, but unfortunately that piece of land that I own that's just over 10 acres that's quite far from me where I live here is actually the prettiest piece of land that I own, so I don't want to get rid of it. I haven't seen it in over a year. I have people that watch it. Number 1, you go on Listserv, these other places. The realtors, they work by numbers. Boom, 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 boom. They try to hit it as quick as they can, get rid of it as quick as they can so they can move as much property through their fingers as possible. 99 times out of 100, which is not an exaggeration, these people will do a drive-by. I've actually seen pictures like that. There's like one picture and it's fuzzy. It's like, why did you even try? They'll do a drive-by with, all right, there, it'll stop for a second. There's a click, go on. People, especially that are out of state, that, you know, it's like they need pictures. You could take the same piece of land and doing just this one thing only by walking on it, which is totally free. Walking is totally free, last I recall. Walking on it and taking some decent pictures. Depending on the land and where it's at and how many acres, you know, of course that varies. The fewer the acreage, the more you can double or triple or quadruple. You can literally double, if not quadruple, your money. Once again, it depends on the acreage, location, a lot of other. Just by taking some decent pictures. If you go look at any raw land on Zillow.com, where it's really easy to browse, everything that's listed there has either one picture which is really bad or a few pictures that are really, really bad. Just pictures alone. Like, you're like the laziest person on earth, and you know how to find lands. Like, I don't want to do this other stuff. Just taking good pictures of it. You could relist it after you bought it and make a lot more money, because people out of state that are trying to buy cheap land, you know, looking in different states. By the way, Kentucky's the cheapest raw land in the United States. That's not my feeling or opinion or belief. It's a fact. They will buy it based upon pictures. If you have decent pictures, all you have to do is walk on it. Sounds stupidly simple, doesn't it? And yet if I'm lying, I'm dying. I've done that twice already in my lifetime. A survey is worth its weight in gold. The land that there's two pieces of land. It was being sold by, I don't want to list the person's name. You had to buy both of them. One was a 75-acre plot that I bought in just outside of Pikeville, and the other one was just over 40 acres. I could have bought both of them. $243 an acre. Yeah. I talked to the realtor, incredibly ditzy. We drove down there, which is like nearly 2 hours away from where we're at in Lexington. Took my rich buddy down there. I bought it at $243 an acre. 75 acres for $18,300. Let me repeat that again. 75 acres for $18,300. That's really, really awesome by itself. But the reason why it didn't sell instantly, she showed me her phone, and I knew that was the case. She didn't have to prove it to me. Look at this, look at this. All these people, it's like, does it have a survey? She was really ditzy. She basically didn't know where it was. Like, it's up that road. A little bit of research. You go to the PVA office downtown, do just a little bit of research, few hours at most. You gain an enormous amount of information when it comes to raw land. I am not exaggerating. Is worth its weight in gold. Actually, it's worth its weight in palladium or rhodium. It's worth way more than gold. Anyway, this land wasn't bought immediately on the spot for such an insane, crazy cheap price. And that's the reason why I got my piece, 75 acres, and my buddy got his 43. It's not surveyed. You know, it could be plus or minus a few acres. Because it wasn't surveyed. Lazy, well, it's not surveyed. I don't know about buying it. Who cares? $243 an acre, who cares? In other words, in a professional survey, depending on the land, you know, if it's hilly, then it's more expensive, and that land I bought is hilly. But it's incredibly beautiful, incredibly valuable. If you get a survey on it, you pay some dude $6,000. You know, it could be a whole lot cheaper, it could be a whole lot more, not a whole lot more expensive actually. A typical survey, depending on the land, how many acreage, how difficult it is to survey, how much research they got to do, between $3,000 and $12,000. That encompasses 99% of surveys. You know, well, that's a lot of money. Well, that piece of paper is worth its weight in rhodium, which is way more valuable than gold, by the way. You just pay a surveyor to survey the land. Oh, now it's got a survey, professional survey. It's worth a lot more than you paid for it. Okay, you spent, say, $10,000 in the survey. You put, say, $50,000 into the land. Yeah, you spent $10,000 on the survey. You're 60 grand into it. All things being equal, now that it has a survey, you could easily flip that for 80 to 100,000 bucks. You put in 10,000, you get another 40 to 50 to, depends on the land, 40, 50, 60, if not a whole lot more if it's a lot of acreage. Just off that, you can get a survey as cheap as 3,000. Depends, once again, if the land's flat and it's only like 5 acres or less, surveying it is boom, boom, boom. Professional surveyor is still expensive, but The details of the land. Does it have water on it? I bought land, that piece of land that is really far from me, that I have not seen in over a year. This old chick inherited it. She never saw it. The realtor, who's really old, I almost said his name. It did come with a professional survey. Really, 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 really nice survey. And it says on here is a barn. And the guy, the realtor goes, "There ain't no barn on there. And probably a shed." He took some pictures from it from the street. Once again, all realtors, 99%, are very lazy. Well, not only is there a barn on it, it's the biggest barn, one of the biggest barns I've ever seen, 2-story. There's like $30,000 of lumber in this barn. You know, you want to strip it, and I could build another cabin. That's a lot of work, though. So the details of land is incredible. Here's something else people don't consider. On flipping land. Like that piece of land, which on the first surface of it, or the face of the land, when you pull up to it, mine had 2 access points. But the realtor didn't know it had 2 access points. I found out, but just by a little bit of research, that it did, and also, too, the professional survey. But when you're investigating land, and you're looking at Zillow, other places, usually the realtors, even if it has a professional survey, they're too lazy to post the professional survey. If he did that, it would have sold to somebody else. You know, I had to request. Realtors are usually extremely, extremely lazy. By clearing out or cutting out a home plot, say you got a 10-acre piece of land, maybe a 50-acre piece, it doesn't matter. You get somebody, you pay them upwards of $2,000, depends on how rough it is, whether they got chopped trees down to do it, to clear out roughly an acre plus. You create a homestead spot so someone can have their Amish-built cabin or their double-wide or single-wide trailer. They just want to pull it in, beep, 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 plop it down. There's already a spot mowed out for it. That $2,000 investment, roughly, it could be less than that, it could be a little bit more than that, it's worth its weight in gold, just like a professional surveyor. You can flip the land for a lot more than you paid for it, just by the pictures, the survey, the details. You don't have to do all of these. But whatever's the easiest path, you just do 2 or 3 of these. Typically, you get minimum double or triple the price of what you paid for it, if it is 50 acres or less. If it's more than that, you're talking, if you do, of these 8 or 8 plus details, if you do 2 or 3 of those, you can increase your sale by 30%. Flipping 30% on a $200,000 investment, basically overnight, is quite incredible. You do a few of those a year, and you got a really, really, really nice yearly income. Here's something else. This is also too part of the details. People never look at this, and realtors never look at this, and the sellers never look at this. Detail, when's the last time it was cut, the trees were cut on it, if at all, and if they had not been cut in a long time, what sort of trees does it have on it? You know, it's got walnut and sycamore and white oak. Man, you got white oak and walnut, or just white oak, or even just walnut, that's gold. That's leafy gold. It is worth a lot of money. I'm just selling 42 trees off of my land. I'm going to see the guy in a few days. You know, he's bringing me a check for the trees that are off of my one piece of land, just by taking 42 trees off of my land. What he cut off of mine were walnuts and sycamores, mostly walnuts. This is how my buddy got his 40-acre piece. I think it's just a little over, it was like 42 acres. He got his 13-acre piece for free. Depending on the land, look at it. It's got a survey, it's easier to look at, but you only have to walk it. Doesn't have to have a professional survey. If you're going to subdivide it, though, which is actually not expensive, he subdivided 2 plots off the 40, I think it's 41.67 acres or something, basically 42 acres. Subdivided 2 plots off of there. It took him less than $400 of lawyer fees and paperwork to subdivide it, sold those off for like 110% of what he had into the land. So his piece was free. It was actually less than free. Subdividing the land. Or if you just want to subdivide it, my buddy up in Chicago, he's an Asian American guy, I don't want to say his name. I went and inspected the land for him. It overlooks the lake. He's going to subdivide that. It's incredible. Every spot that will be subdivided has a look over at this really scenic lake. Subdividing it, you can make a whole lot more money. Is it scenic for passive income? Say you want to hold on to it. You could sell some trees off of it and get some of your money back. My piece of land, I had the back 4.5 acres, the trees taken off of it, the part that I never ever cared about. It's across the creek. I was never going to walk on it. That combined with the trees that I just sold off of it, I got basically $11,000 off my purchase price of that land. So what I actually had invested in the land, I could subtract 11,000 plus off of that from what I got back just from taking a relatively small percentage of trees off of it. So, but is it scenic for passive income for campers? You have to look at insurance and your zoning restrictions, if any. Kentucky, backwoods, you basically got no restrictions at all. So passive income for camping. There's also, too, a lot of passive income for hunting. People say, well, I got this beautiful raw land. I get what you're saying. It takes care of itself. Raw land doesn't need upkeep. Yeah. You can sell off the hunting rights per year. Rather, don't do a 5-year. You might want to flip the land. Do it just a year at a time. Sell off the hunting rights with the options to purchase the next year. So the raw land takes care of itself. What about passive income? Camping, rental spots. And there's a significant number of income that people want a place to park their RV. Let them park there. They say they bought a half-year lease to park. These are, you ever heard of RV nomads? You ever heard about nomads? There's a lot of them, and they love having, they only have one-time fee, half a year or up to a year just to park their RV there. Yeah. Here's something else that is really funny, and I've done this 3 times now. A lot of land. I listed some land recently, yesterday, actually, on Instagram. My guy I know, a realtor named Judd Heisel, he has one is a 10-acre farmland. It's like, I forget what the price is. There's 196 acres for $153,000, and the other one is like $39,000 for beautiful flat farmland, and it's like, 10 acres or something? But he's got like address on one of them, like 888 something. You'll see all these addresses on Zillow of raw land, like 0 Hickory Lane or 99999 Hickory. They don't have an address. No one's ever lived there. It's raw land. All you have to do is call the PVA office. What's the name of the part of the PVA and the deed room? It's called something addresses and something. They maintain addresses for like 911 and governmental records. It is completely 100% free. Your taxes pay for it. Simply by getting an address to your land. Totally 100% free. It takes them about a week and a half because it's the government. Week and a half to 2-week turnaround time. They'll get you an address on the land. Completely free, and it actually adds to the value of your land. This is the address of this raw land is 128 Sycamore, whatever the address, whatever they assign it to be relative to the nearest road or the road that it's actually on. Completely free, and believe it or not, that actually adds to the resale value of the land. Completely free. All it takes is one phone call. They will send you an email with a PDF certificate. Not that it's a certificate. This is the address of your land. This is the formal governmental address of the land. Quite amazing. Here's something else. I know a realtor that buys land and does this. He has the Amish go there and build the cabins on it. He'll buy small pieces of land, like 10 acres, like 8 acres to 20 acres is what he buys. He'll have the $10,000 Amish cabins, which are not insulated. It's just the skeleton and the roof and the walls, okay? $10,000 Amish cabin. I think he gets a deal since he contracts with them to build a lot of these cabins. They go from one spot to the other, these Amish people. $10,000 he puts into it, probably less. Increase the property of the value by an average of $30,000 plus. $10,000 he drops into it, a minimum return average $35,000 minimum. Depends on the type of cabin, depends on the location. Isn't that something? What if you bought a bunch of 10, 20 acre parcels, you did, some of these things are completely free. 4 or 5 of these you could do in one day, and they're totally free. The pictures, The details, define the trees. Those are the 3 that you could do in one day that are completely free. But you put a Amish-built cabin or a nice single wide or a nice double wide. Specifically, people want a cabin. They're basically like super large tool sheds, essentially, but they're very well built. You drop in 10 grand and you get a minimum of 30 back on it. That's 20,000 bucks right there, right off the top. That's not counting the additional income you get by having pictures about it, a survey, details, the type of trees. You could subdivide it. It's like, well, you know, I bought 40 acres. What I'm going to do is subdivide it 4 ways. I'm going to put a cabin on 2 of the larger parcels. And 2 of the smaller parcels, I will not put a cabin on. Man, anyway, this is 100% real and relatively easy. Now, the survey is not easy. Survey is expensive, and it'll take a month or so, depending on how many surveyors are in your area. Depends on how hilly the land is, how easy it is or is not to survey. But getting the details, getting a free address, subdividing it is relatively very quick to subdivide it. You'll need specific coordinates. You can actually do that yourself. You don't need a professional surveyor to subdivide it. Yeah, you need coordinates, subdivide out the piece of land, have the a lawyer. My buddy's doing that. I think he's paying the lawyer $300 because I sold him a few acres off of a piece of land that I have that backs up to his cabin, my buddy, that I've known most of my life. He lives in Mount Sterling. It's $300 he's paying the lawyer. Anyway, these are basically 10 super easy, except for the survey. Except for the survey and plopping a $10,000 cabin on it. The rest of these are, most of them are free and extremely easy for increasing the value of your raw land, either for resale or passive income. Getting an address, a 1-hour phone call. Actually, it would take an hour, excuse me. I take that back, like 20 minutes. Hey, my land is map parcel ID 39-55A, for example. That's kind of a typical map parcel in a county that I own land. Oh yeah, I found it here on the map. Yeah, I need an address for that. Okay, I'll get back to you about a week and a half. What's your email? Completely free. It's actually increases the value of your land. If you want to flip it, or if you want to hold on to it, get an address. Most raw land does not have a real address. This is a free service. So I hope that helped people out. I'm not selling anything. Any donations always warmly welcome. My information is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good evening.